And here we are back again at Real Flight Simulations. We've got another episode here with this time my virtual device for X keypad for X-Plane 11 and 12, and this is specifically to set up for flying the various Airbuses that you may have in X-Plane. I've got a virtual keypad for the Airbus 350, the 340, the 330 that is default for the X-Plane 12 and the JAR designs, as well as the 321, the 320, and the 319. So that spans quite a few here. I'll try to cover some of the basics, and we'll see what I can show you. It is also integrated for the Behringer X-Touch Mini keypad. Okay, so what I've got here is the Toliss Airbus 340. Using the X-Touch program, we can toggle on my virtual device. I've got a bunch of settings here that I think are really handy. I'm going to go over them a little bit here. I've got basically the overhead lights that you'll find over the Pilot. Let's set that to, these are auto. Nav lights are on auto. The beacon is on. Well, that's because the engine's running. And let's go ahead and take a look here. I can come over to the secondary panel, and I've got all my engine master switches right there. If I take a look on the outside of the aircraft, sure enough, they are in fact running. And let's come down here to the ICS screen. Let's go ahead and look at some of that stuff. I can go into general settings. I can turn that thing off. I can also just come right out here to external power, put that on. And as long as I am back in the cockpit, I can turn on my external power. And as long as I do that, let's go back outside. Let's see if we can try some lights here. How about the runway turnoff lights, landing lights, nose wheel lights, wing lights? Strobe lights will be on here. Okay, we can see here in this frame here, I've got complete control over exterior lights and quite a lot of things here. Let's use my other function of my Behringer X-Touch Mini. I can even turn the time to a slightly darker time. How's that? Looks pretty good. We can manipulate the lights, and this is real handy when you're on VATSIM. You can toggle these things. You can actually really have complete control. Super handy to have. Let's bring the time up a little bit. Again, using a knob that I've assigned on the Behringer X-Touch Mini, we can go back into our secondary view. And let's go ahead and shut down the engines. Easy as that. Just move my engine master switches off, and inside the cockpit, of course, we've got the external power on. The engines should be winding down. I will give you a quick overview of what I've put in for the Behringer X-Touch Mini. I've got a still shot here showing my panel, and I've got a template set up that allows me to duplicate not only the Autopilot mode control panel, but I've also got some settings here for the captain and first officer's baro altimeter settings, as well as the EFIS knobs and the range knobs. You can manipulate the flight directors, auto throttle, autopilot 1 and 2, and you can set modes like selecting localizer or approach. You can even go into heading track versus flight path angle. You can we can set vertical speed, dial in altitude to managed versus selected. All these things are easy to manipulate through the X-Touch Mini panel. Now, one of the things that the Toliss aircraft do is they have their interactive screen, ISCS. That screen can be toggled right from the virtual device. And then once you're in there, you can select where you want to go. You can make it go away. I've given the aircraft some control over the transponder. That's super handy because when you're on VATSIM, you want to see that your transponder is properly set, and you may not necessarily be able to scan all through your cockpit as efficiently as you would in real life. And it's just nice to have an extra warning of what your status is on things. A lot of you that know me know that I'm a big fan of the Airbus A350, and in this case, I've created a panel just for that. Right now, the airplane is not powered up, but I can put external power on right from the virtual device. I can put the wheel chocks in. Notice that it goes green. I've also got external air, and this little ground speed indicator here is designed so that it'll help you to have a good idea of what your speed is while you're taxiing. And here's one of the things that I really like. Most of you are well aware that when you buy the Flight Factor A350, it comes with all these switches turned off, and that's really a pain. I hate going in and turning all these things on. Well, watch this. We're going to hit Shift View. I can come in and turn. These three buttons here are set to configure the aircraft so we get things on, and it's actually more realistic. Let's turn all our batteries on. We'll get all the switches that are off that need to be on. We'll turn them on. And then there's a couple switches that are up here, ground hydraulics. Those are off, but they need to be on. So we fix that. Now you've got the airplane configured, and oh, by the way, I even went ahead and I set the no smoking signs on, seatbelt signs on, and the nav logo lights are set so that the logo lights are auto, nav lights are on. And that's really a big help. Meanwhile, you can come on down in here, looking at what would be the OIS panel on the real aircraft. You can go into your configurations. You can do cockpit auto prep, get your inertials aligned, and of course, if we do go ahead and look up, we'll see that they're going. And really, there's nothing much left to do on the panel, and this is going to allow you to focus on those things that are really important. Let's get some AC power on the aircraft, and sure enough, we'll get things going here. You can likewise use your Behringer X-Touch Mini as the mode control panel, and you can adjust things like the altitude. We can set the barometric pressure. Like here's the co-pilot's altimeter, the captain's barrel altimeter knob. I can switch that and get the flight directors, make sure that they are on. I can toggle them. So all these things can be set using the virtual device and the Behringer X-Touch Mini. Also, if you're a user of the Flight Factor A350, you can go ahead and download my normal checklists update so that you can have what are essentially realistic checklists, and many of the items are actually auto-sensed in the aircraft. I'll provide a link in the description below. Okay, right now we are currently looking at the X-Plane 12 Airbus A330, and this one's wearing Virgin Atlantic colors. You know, in X-Plane 11 we had JAR Designs making an Airbus 330, and I did write a virtual panel for that. A little bit difficult to program for, but that aircraft did work as an Airbus, and so it was at least doable. I have the Behringer X-Touch Mini so that it will actually work. As you can see, some of the items like speed, heading, altitude, vertical speed, those can be manipulated. The only problem with the X-Plane 12 version of the A330 is that it's not really an Airbus. Take a look at the FMS, and you can see that that's not what an FMS looks like in an Airbus A330. So there's a lot of things that this airplane does not have, like the different modes of the FMS, takeoff, climb mode, cruise mode, descent mode, approach mode. None of those are there. So really, this is about the only way you can fly this airplane is using the Behringer X-Touch Mini and my virtual device. So this is a very rudimentary simulation, but it is here, and I've provided at least a little something to give you the ability to fly it. Okay, now as I got to think about it, I made a comment that these virtual device settings on each one of these airplanes might make the operation a little bit more realistic for you, and that may be a bad choice of words. What I'm really trying to get at is that the controls like light switches and transponder switches, they are normally much more ergonomic in a real aircraft, and I want to heighten your sense of awareness, particularly since you are flying a simulator for a multi-piloted aircraft, and you're single piloted. There's a few people that probably use these things networked together with two people, but most people don't, and they'll get on the VATSIM, and they're going to be operating a multi-piloted aircraft with just themselves. And so I want to make operation easier, and in that sense, the real aircraft is not that hard. You don't have to take all of your attention and focus on a switch just to operate it. You can actually take a moment to position your hand, and as you are looking around and scanning the situation, your hand is pre-positioned, then you can activate, say, a taxi light switch or something, because your hand just is up there and it knows where to go. You can't really do that in the simulator. Also, when I take, for example, what I've done with the Airbus 350 from Flight Factor, I have a command which pre-configures many switches on the overhead panel to the on position and a couple more to the off position, and turns the batteries on. And that's because in real life, a crew won't really get to the aircraft in a cold and dark state, and Flight Factor has made the aircraft boot up with all these data refs for all the switches in the 0 position. And the 0 configuration, that means that they're off, and no crew would encounter an aircraft when they get to it where every switch is turned off. So in my estimation, I'm making the workload a little bit easier, and that's more like what a real crew would experience. There are a few things that I did take the liberty of setting seatbelt signs to on and navigation lights to on, and the logo lights to auto. So those have been done. If you want, you can take those data ref commands out, but while it's not more realistic to have one button that throws 50 or 60 switches, that's not realistic, but it is logical to expect that you don't have to go punching out off lights on your panel when you get into the aircraft. So I just kind of want to make that clear, and maybe you guys will bring it up in the comments, but we're trying to make operation of the aircraft more like what a real crew would experience, and recognizing that you are single piloted in a multi-piloted aircraft. We want to lighten the workload. All right, we're going to close out this segment here. This video's gone on long enough. I know it's been delayed and a long time in coming. We haven't had a video in a while. Trying to take care of making this thing work, and X-Plane 12 has been an additional burden as that came out, and then the new releases from Toliss and everybody else that now made things additional. Just a lot of additional work for me, and I'm going to try to get out another video as quickly as I can. But again, this channel is about helping you, the flight simmer, future aviation people. I'm trying to help you all out. It's not about making big YouTube numbers. So enjoy this. Feel free to leave any questions you have in the comments section, and I'll roll some footage of some of my aircraft, and enjoy.